Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AHL playoff previews. If you're looking for the NHL playoff previews, I did a video of that yesterday. You can find that on the YouTube channel as well as on the Spotify feed as well. So this video is strictly just AHL. So again, find the NHL video elsewhere. Before we get going, just want to say happy holidays to everybody out there. Hope you've all had a nice, relaxing time, whether you've off from break or spending time with family, off from work, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, hope everyone is having a good time. Can't wait to ring in the new year with some playoff hockey, and that is what we are here to discuss today. So, regular season, of course, is over. We turn our attention now to the playoffs, and there are some great matchups in the NHL as well as the AHL that I cannot wait to follow and track along. So, for people that are new, I know a lot of people in the AHL are new to the league this year, in the season. Excuse me. And so, just to kind of give you some background on what these videos are all about, I will have timestamps in the description on YouTube. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can just skip ahead. If you don't really care about the rest of the teams, you just want to hear what I have to say about your specific team, you can just find the timestamp in the description and you can listen to that segment. But other than that, I'm going to go through all the teams, all the playoff matchups, and go into some analysis, my predictions, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it should be fun. Hope you guys enjoy. For now, they're going to be split into two videos just because they take a long time. The NHL video is almost an hour and a half long. It was like an hour and 20-something minutes, I think. It'll probably be the same length for this one as well, if maybe a little shorter, because I'm not too familiar with the AHL. I didn't follow it as intently as I did the NHL, but I will still do my best. I do know, I've gone through the stats. I've crunched some of the numbers, so I do know a little bit what I'm talking about. But I don't know if I'll have as much to say as I did for the NHL. But with that in mind, I think you guys will enjoy. And if you have any suggestions or things I can improve upon, please let me know. As the playoffs go along and more teams get knocked out, I will likely condense it all into one video. That'll probably happen after the second round, I would guess. But for at least this video and probably the next one or two, we'll just keep it separate for now, the NHL and the AHL videos. The plan after this, again, for those who don't know, I'll do my preview, right? Like, this is what this video is about. And then what will happen is after the games are played, I'll give my reactions to what happened, some of the upsets that maybe happened, some specific individual performances by certain players, some of the storylines, that we want to follow throughout the playoffs. So that's what keeps the league fun and entertaining, gives you guys talking to players chat, the Chirp channel, all that kind of stuff. So with all that out of the way, again, welcome if you are new. I hope you guys enjoy. So the first playoff matchup that we're going to go start with, we're going to start in the East, and we're going to talk about the Rochester Americans taking on the Toronto Marlies. So this is an Atlantic Division showdown. In the season head-to-head, Rochester was 5-0-1. The Marlies were 1-5-1. I think that might be a typo. It's either 1-4-1 or 1-5-0. But anyway, Rochester really had a strong regular season. This is, of course, the AHL affiliate of Buffalo. They went 35-10-7. Meanwhile, Toronto, they went 23-29-2. Rochester won their division, first in the Atlantic, and the Marlies were fourth in the Atlantic. They are the second wild card in the East. Looking at some of the special teams, Rochester really dominant on the penalty kill and the power play. They had the second best power play at a 33.9% mark and an 86.6% penalty kill. That is best. That's right, first in the AHL for penalty kill. So very, very strong numbers there for the Americans. And for the Marlies, a bit of a different story here. You have their power play sits at 27.5%. That's good for 14th in the AHL, so not the greatest. And then at penalty kill, 69.7%. That is right around the middle of the pack at 11th. Now, we look at some of the goals for and goals against per game. Rochester sitting at 4.74 goals for per game and a very strong 2.78 goals against per game. They have a plus 106 goal differential, so they play very good defense there in Rochester. Meanwhile, a very, very different story for the Marlies. They have 4.65 goals for per game. That's pretty good, but a 5.59 goals against per game. That is just so high. They sit at a minus 51 goal differential. Looking at some individual players here, we have Sauce 10 for Rochester. He's got 56 goals, 43 assists for 99 points on the year. Great regular season for him. Flaky Penguin, this is the Americans' top defenseman for defensive rating at a 72.36. And in the net, the Lose, I hope you say that guy's name. I did see him in the playoff channel there. He was tagging me. He has a very, very good 8.31 save percentage and a 2.46 goals against. Now, before I move to Toronto, just to put those numbers, the goaltending numbers into perspective, in my opinion, from what I've seen, kind of noticing some trends between the AHL and the NHL for the last 2 or 3 seasons now, especially this season now that we split. But this also goes back to season 5 and season 2 of the AHL. The defense is much higher, but the level of defense is much higher in the NHL. So you'll see a lot more goals in the AHL. So what does that mean? So I think to start out in the NHL standards, I think like an 800 save percentage is like a good threshold between like good and eh. And the fact that Lose is at an 831 in the AHL is extreme. That's pretty elite in my opinion. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure that's probably top of the AHL. But I have to check. And we'll go through the full roster stats in just a couple minutes. But just keep that in mind as we go through. Like I in the AHL, I think the threshold kind of gets bumped down to like a 780. That's kind of like where like, okay, if you're like above a 780, even 775, like okay, that's you're a fine goaltender. Anything over 800 in the AHL, I think, is extremely good and very impressive. So good for him. 2.46 goals against, also very strong right there. So then we shift gears, shift our focus now to Toronto. Cal Hockey 10, a very, very good season. 88 goals, 73 assists, 161 points. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. You don't really see these types of numbers in the NHL just because, in my opinion, the defense is much stronger. Like the team defense overall as well, of course, the defenseman. But still, nonetheless, don't want to take anything away from Cal Hockey's season. Very strong numbers there. 161 points is nothing to, bat your eyes at. Cartsy Dubs is at a 69.81, so he leads the Marlies defenseman in the defensive rating. And the Marlies owner, Locker Room Cantor, he sits at a 707 save percentage and a 588 goals against. So he is their starting goalie for the Marlies. So we'll take a look. We'll go to Rochester first, take a look at some of their roster stats and everyone on there. So, of course, we talked about Sauce. You have Chum right behind him with 98 points, 43 goals, and 55 assists. Then you have Mighty Mountain, the Americans owner, 78 points in 30 games, very strong. Smoke, I believe he's their GM or AGM, 75 points, 58 assists, so a strong season from him as well. You got Faceless down here, Ziggy, K-Worker, Flaky Penguin, we mentioned him at the top. So strong numbers at the top of the roster here for the Americans. And then, of course, in net, you got Lose, is a very strong 19-3-2 record. Along with his stats, 3 shutouts as well. So very strong. This is a good team Rochester has put together, starting with Mighty Mountain assembling this roster. Now we look over at the Marlies. We see that we go to their points. Okay, so again, it's Cal Hockey, great season, like we talked about. But then you have Egomaniac Stud with 64 points, Virtue 89, 49, Masterpot 48. Stubbs, I think he's a two-way, 41 points. Mango, I believe he's a two-way as well, 24 points. Nate Dogg, 39 points. DeCheese, 31 points. So it kind of falls off a little bit after Cal Hockey. You don't see the more of the top-end balance like you see with Rochester. So just something to think about when you're going through this series. And then Locker Room Cancer, we talked about him. He's their main goalie. 12, 14, and 0. 588 with a 707 save percentage. You see Iceman Hockey down here. Got a couple games. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's still on the team. And Pitt Pitcher, he will be playing in the NHL, I believe. So that is what we are looking at here for the opening series. Now, my prediction, I think it's pretty clear that Rochester is the better team. I think they win this probably in 4, maybe Toronto gets a game in there. So no, but I think Rochester will dominate the series. Really, it comes down to the Marlies' defense, and I just don't think they're tight enough defensively to win 4 straight games against this team. I think Rochester, honestly, they have a good shot at going. They have like making a deep run. I've been following them a little bit. Obviously they're not my. So I'm the owner of Seattle, so my AHL affiliate is Coachella Valley, and they're in the West. But when I started going through the playoff prep and looking through the numbers for all the teams in the NHL and AHL, like Rochester really stood out to me as a top team. Really, when I was compiling the special teams, your second best power play and the first best penalty kill, 86.6% penalty kill is a crazy number. I'm not sure people realize that how good that actually is. So all these factors kind of blend into the fact that I think Rochester will have a pretty easy time in this series, and I think they have a real good opportunity to go on a deep run in the playoffs. So that's my prediction for the Americans versus the Marlies. I'm excited to see how it plays out. So yeah, we'll turn our attention now to the next series we have on the docket. We have the Providence Bruins taking on the Grand Rapids Griffins. Looking at their head-to-head, Providence with a dominant 5-1 record, but might be misleading because the Griffins are 1-2-3, so a bunch of overtime games in there, so a couple goals, a couple bounces the other way, and it looks a lot more even. So just it's not as dominant as it may look. However, Providence had a very good regular season with a 36-16-2 record. They finished second in the Atlantic, right behind Rochester, who we just mentioned. And you have Grand Rapids here, 26-21-7. They finished third. So this again, obviously, this is the 2-3 series in the Atlantic. Looking at some of the special teams, subpar special teams, I should say. Both these teams it's funny, they're kind of inverted. Providence has the 17th best power play and the 16th best penalty kill. They're at 26.4% power play and a 67.4% penalty kill. Meanwhile, Grand Rapids is at the 16th best power play and the 17th best penalty kill. So they're right there, pretty bottom of the league. Griffins have a 26.4% power play and a 67.4% penalty kill. So the numbers are the exact same. Looking at the goals for and goals against per game, Providence is at a 4.91 goals for per game, so they score a bunch of goals, and they give up 4.37 goals against. They have a plus 29 goal differential. Meanwhile, for the Griffins, they don't score as much. They're at a 4.19 goals for per game and a 4.44 goals against per game. Whoops, I hit enter by mistake. Go back over here. They're at a minus 14 goal differential. So looking at some of the individual player stats, Breezy Asian, he is, I believe he's their owner, or GM. He's in management. I can take a look on Discord right now. Let me see. AHL team channels, Providence. Sorry, I don't know this on the top of my head. Oh no, BK's is the owner. Breezy Asian is GM. Okay. So, yeah, he is the GM of Providence. 44 goals, 44 assists for 88 points. Very good season for him. Sight Geese, the Bruins' top defenseman, 75.10 defensive rating. And here's BK's. I think BK's is how you say it. 775 save percentage and a 4.25 goals against. So here's a guy right here. I sound like Chris Collinsworth. Here's a guy. With the 775 save percentage, I think that's like right there, like that. I think that's pretty solid for the AHL. So and a 4.25 goals against. Again, you're seeing these elevated goal totals for league wide in the AHL. So, I think this is a pretty good season for him. Now we shift gears over to the Griffins. You have Gergensons, 28 with a 21 goals, 35 assists for 56 points. Coerwin, I hope I say his name right, 77.5 defensive rating for Griffins, so he leads them. And in that, you have Jiffy Jeff with a 792 save percentage and a 368 goals against, so he has better stats than BK's. So this interesting, pretty even here defensively in terms of defense and goaltending. But I think the X factor in this series will come down to the Bruins' ability to score goals and the Griffins' ability to keep them out of the net. If we go back to the website here, we'll take a look at the Bruins first. Again, Breezy Asian with 88 points. Lamaine, Maine. I hope it's sorry if I butcher you guys' names. 86 points, so he's right behind there. 28 goals and 58 assists. Eagle Hawk, I believe he was a mid-season acquisition for. No, actually, he might have gotten traded. I don't think he's on the team anymore. No, he's on the Griffins. Oh, okay. We'll look at his stats in a couple minutes here. Okay, I thought he got traded. Yeah, that's the thing. The trades. I don't know who's with who anymore. There's so many trades. Yasser, former Detroit Red Wing, he was on the move at some point as well. He was with Hershey. Now he's on Providence. Okay, so Yasser for Providence had 12 games played, 48 points, but his total season numbers, he had 73 points in 22 games. So a strong season for him. He'll be definitely out there trying to get some wins for Providence. You have Wild Card, Pig Card, 44 points apiece. iPels, I think he's two-way because I mentioned him last night for Boston Bruins. Sight Geese, we mentioned him earlier. And then, of course, in net, B-Kais, 13-7. He does have a shutout as well. Okay. Now we'll go to the Griffins. Take a look at some of their stats. So we have, again, Gergensons, 56 points. Merkhouse, 55 points. Soldier, 54 points. Again, I don't know if these guys, I don't know these rosters as well as I do the NHL ones. I hope these guys are on the same team still. The Soldier is. Pucky, 51 points. Medea, 47 points. Triton, he's their owner, 43 points. Where is, what's his nuts? Eagle Hawk, here we go. 8 points in 6 games, but can't forget, he actually has 61 points in 27 games, so pretty solid stuff for him. You got Spur down here, 20 points in 27 games. He's a defenseman for them. I believe he's their GM. Sloster, a two-way guy, very solid winger, 30 points in 13 games. I would be surprised if he gets any action. I would imagine he's in the NHL, but we'll see. And then some of the other guys down here that might have been moved off for RAs as well. And then I mentioned Jiffy Jeff. You have Soldier down here. He has a couple games in net. Xiao Ling. I don't even know if this guy's on the team anymore. Let's see. When did he last play? No, I guess he is. Yeah, back and he played in December. Okay. So those are the Griffins roster numbers. We'll go back to the comparison. Time for my prediction. Now, again, like I already mentioned, this series is going to come down to the Bruins' ability to score and the Griffins' ability to play defense and keep the puck out of the net. Now, I think my prediction for this series is going to be Providence in 6. I think the Griffins will be able to win a couple. Like you see the overtime games here. I definitely think there'll be some overtime for sure. They can certainly turn the series if they can just get a couple bounces. But I think overall you're going to see a lot. Like I trust the Bruins' ability to score more than I trust the Griffins' ability to play defense and keep the puck out of the net. So there you have it for that series. I think again Providence wins this one in 6. All right, moving right along. We have next series, we have the Hartford Wolfpack taking on the Hershey Bears. Hartford finishing first in the Metro. Hershey was 4th in the Metro, so they are the first wildcard team. The other wildcard team that was the series earlier, the Marlies, they were the second wildcard team, so they have to play Rochester. So the season head-to-head, I think there's only 5 games because there might have been a forfeit or something. I don't know why. Something got messed up. I don't know if it got messed up, but for whatever reason, there's only 5 games. I'm not sure. Anyway, it maybe got rescheduled and it didn't really matter. So anyway, it doesn't really matter because the standings would stay the same. So the season head-to-head to Hartford's 3-2, Hershey's 2-3. Hartford's special teams, so they're at a 29% power play and a 68.5% penalty kill. So that's good for 9th on the power play and 14th in the league for penalty kill. Meanwhile, for Hershey, they have a 23.7% power play, a lot of P's, That's 19th in the AHL, so not great there. But they have a very good penalty kill at 80%. That's good for second in the AHL. Looking at some of the goals for and against, Hartford scoring at a 4.57 goals for per game, only giving up 4.02 goals against per game. That's good for a plus 30 goal differential. For Hershey, a little bit of a different story. So they score just a tick less at 4.20, but man, they give up a ton of goals. 4.94 goals against per game. That's almost a whole goal more per game than the Wolfpack. Hershey has a minus 40 goal differential this season. Looking at some of the individual stats now, you have Hale. I think it's Hale to Brady. 45 goals, 65 assists for 110 points. Very strong season for him. Nicky Pinch, 74.29 defensive rating for the Wolfpack. And Metro, 88. Really good numbers here. 811 save percentage and a 374 goals against. So very strong numbers up and down here for the Wolfpack. But meanwhile, for the Bears, it's your boy Fatal. I believe he was named owner midway through the season, if I'm not mistaken. 67 goals, 46 assists for 113 points. RTN Pegasus, they're the Bears' top defenseman at 66.75 defensive rating. And then in the net, you have TTSN Burr with a 781 save percentage and a 4.76 goals against. So not terrible numbers for the TTSN Burr, but Metro, he had a very good season for himself. So it's tough to top that. We'll go to the website again. We'll go back here. Oh, excuse me. We'll take a look at the Wolfpack first. So sort by the points. Chippewa Pride, he is their new owner, I believe. He has 109 points, 51 goals, and 58 assists. King Nutty, 17 goals, 46 assists for 63 points. Anti-Bionics, 54 points in 19 games. Gregor, 45 points in 15 games. And again, I apologize if guys are not on their teams anymore. Aubrey Laugh, same thing, 45 points, 16 games. K Parks, 37 points. Morrow, 29 points. So pretty balanced scoring and games played, you see. So a very deep team here in Hartford. And then in the net, again, Metro, 16 and 11. One shutout. And then Brick Wall, 10 and 5. Their backup goalie. 10, 5, and 1 with a 3.38 goals against and a 7.93 save percentage. He also has a shutout. Now going over to Hershey, we'll take a look at them. Points-wise, again, Fatal at 113. Pat Sylvia at 82. Gotham's at 68 points in 27 games, 24 goals and 44 assists. Stefano, 51 points in 16 games. United Reign, 37 points in 11 games, over 20 goals. Crimson King, I believe he's a defenseman, if I'm not mistaken. We'll take a look at him real quick. Skater log. Oops. No, he plays mostly defense. Yeah, okay. And then, and some other guys down here that have moved on or gotten traded to RAs or not, whatnot. Again, TTSM Burr, their main goalie, he has a shutout as well. He's 12 and 13 on the season. So my prediction for this series, I think, again, this is kind of similar to Providence and the Griffins, where it's a little more even than you might think. However, I do give the edge to Hartford. I think they win this probably in 6. I think Hershey might steal one in overtime maybe or something like that, maybe an EA game or what have you. But I think Hartford gets it done. 5 or 6. I'm going to lean 6. I think Hershey's got some decent players to get a win or two in there. The goaltending is solid on both sides. But I think Hartford gets this done in 6 will be my official prediction. Finally, the last series in the East, we have the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton Penguins taking on the Syracuse Crunch. Season head-to-head, very even, 3-3 for the Penguins, 3-2-1 for the Crunch. The Penguins finished second in the Metro with a 32-21-1 record. The Crunch finished 24-25-5. They were third. Special teams numbers, the Penguins are at 29.2%. Power play, it's good for 8th in the AHL, and a 69.2% penalty kill. That's good for 12th in the AHL. Looking at the crunch, they're at a 27.9% power play and a 70.5% penalty kill. That's good for 11th and 9th in the league. So pretty middle of the road special teams for both sides. Looking at goals for and against, again, you see Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, they're at a 4.93 goals for per game. They give up 4.46 goals against per game. They are at a plus 25 goal differential. Meanwhile, for Syracuse, they're at a 4.46 goals for per game, but they give up 4.52. So they're just at a minus 3 goal differential there. So Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, they score a bunch, almost 5 per game. Their leading scorer for the Penguins is JT High scores, 38 goals, 47 assists for 85 points. ICJD, their leading defenseman, 78.21 defensive rating. And Big Ol' Jerry in the net for them, an 808 save percentage and a 4.06 goals against. On the other side for Syracuse, you got No Touches. I believe he's their owner, 51 goals, 49 assists for an even 100 points. Noble 88 with a 73.75 defensive rating for the crunch. And in net for them, Dr. Wally 775 save percentage and a 4.58 goals against. So again, some solid goalies on both sides, based on kind of like my theory of this 775, 780 save percentage and around the 4 goals against. Dr. Wally's a little high, but so be it. We'll look over now at the Penguins. Let's see. We'll go down here. Points. There we go. So, again, already mentioned JT High scores. Old Bongwater, 80 points in 22 games. That's very impressive. Tacos the Dad, 71 points. Thanks Goalie, 67 points. Fire Kush, I hope I said that right, 53 points in 10 games. Uncle Stoney's, 26 and 26 for 52 points in 28 games. Very good for him. B Cup 17, 44 points in 11 games. You got Monkey Wrench with 40 points. Justin Miles, I believe he's a defenseman, 37 points in 16 games. He has a 75.44 defensive rating as well. And then some more guys down here. I like to see the balanced games played, balanced point getters, all that kind of stuff is good to see. And then in the net, really these two guys, Big Ol' Jerry and Tacos the Dad. Tacos is 11-3-1. He's got a 3.73 goals against and a 7.94 save percentage with a shutout to go with that as well, behind Big Ol' Jerry. So those two get the main games. Might be an availability thing, I'm not sure, but not Pittsburgh, I keep doing that. Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, they look like they have a pretty solid team on paper. Looking at Syracuse, though, again, already touched on No Touches. Mitchie the Kid, he's got 67 points in 26 games. Jimmy Crablegs, 63 points in 22 games. Prodigy Freebird, 51 points for him. Clarkey, 50 points. Slide Through School, 50 points. Noble, 31 points. He's their top defenseman as well. Speedo, 29. Excel, 25. And then a couple guys down here, some two-ways and RAs, I assume. And again, Dr. Wally, he has a shutout as well in the season. So some good stuff here. So for my prediction for this series, this could go either way. I think this series could go 7. And if it goes, I think it goes 7, and I think that Wilkes-Barre Scranton will win this in 7. However, I don't want to knock off like Syracuse here. I think they have a pretty good squad. And they can certainly win this in 6 or 7. But I think when it comes down to it, in terms of like depth and scoring, I think the Penguins' offense will just take over, and I think they win this series in 7. All right. So that's all the Eastern series done. We'll move over now to the... Oops, that's the wrong thing. We'll go to the West, okay? So starting out West, let me just kind of move this over a bit. Let me just do that. Okay, so starting in the West, we're going to start with the Henderson Silver Knights taking on my affiliate, the Coachella Valley Firebirds. So now these two are not division rivals. They're not in the same division, so only 2 games played. Henderson won both, so they were 2-0. Coachella Valley lost both. They were 0-2. Henderson, they went 39-12-3. Very strong season for them, and they finished first in the Central. Coachella Valley, just snuck into the playoffs. They were 23, 29, and 2. They finished 4th in the Northwest, so they're the second wild card. Looking at some of the special teams, Henderson scoring at a 33% power play. It's good for 4th in the AHL, and a 73.3% penalty kill. That's good for 8th in the AHL. Now looking over to Coachella Valley, they're at a 29.3% power play. It's 7th, and a 74.8% penalty kill, which is 5th. So very strong numbers on the special teams for both sides, but all units are top 10 in the AHL. Now looking at the goals for and goals against statistics, Henderson with an absurd 5.61 goals for per game, only giving up 3.67. They have a plus 105 goal differential. Just crazy numbers there. And a bit of it's almost like inverted for Coachella Valley. They're not even scoring 4 goals a game. They're at 3.96, and they give up just over 4.5. They're at a 4.52, and they are sitting at a minus 30 goal differential. Now, looking at the leading scores for Henderson, you got Jelly 35 goals, 54 assists, 89 points. Blind Suspect, solid defenseman for them, 84 defensive rating. And you got B-Rads in net, an LMSHL vet with an 803 save percentage and a 315 goals against. Very good numbers for him right there. On the other side, you have Doug the Glatt, 69, 48 goals, 49 assists for 97 points. Newfie Ginger, 73.93 defensive rating. And in the net, you have Vayu with a 788 save percentage and a 457 goals against. All right. So we'll take a look at these stats. We'll go to Silver Knights first. See some of these offensive numbers. Pretty balanced, pretty spread out. Like I said, Jelly with 89 points. Jolly Fog, 74. XCV Baby, 61 points. He's got 40 goals. Quattro Slays, 54 points in 12 games. Rept Bro, I believe he's a two-way, or he might have gotten called up. He's not playing in this series, I don't believe. Skippy, 97, 50 points. Swartzy, 39 points. Danton Tank, 38 points, 35 assists for him. I'm guessing he's a defenseman. B-Rads, we just talked about him in net. He's also had 38 points as well. And then, Ghost Giz, 10. Puppet Master, third. I Slaughter You with 33 points. So some of the defensemen down here putting up some good point totals as well. And a pretty wide variety in goaltending. I think Slays is going to be the goalie for Vegas in their playoff series, so I would count him out of this, although he did go 12-0 on outrageous numbers there, but I think he's going to be playing for the Golden Knights in the NHL. I got Rose Petal Killer, 9-5-0. 479 goals against and a 777 save percentage. He has a shutout as well. No shutout for B-Rats, but he went 9-3-1. So strong record, strong numbers for Henderson here. We'll take a look at Coachella Valley. How do they stack up against these guys? Looking at the points totals, you got Doug the Glatt, again, 97 points. Carpy, 67 points. He's a two-way. I just called him up to two-way, so he might play in this series. We'll see. Kimberly Hart, he's their owner, 55 points there. Killa Beats, another two-way guy. He might get some action in this series, 53 points. Max Payne, 43 points. Newfie Ginger, we spoke about him. Stroh, Mike, he's mainly NHL, but he's a two-way, 20 points for him. Only 8 games played. I don't even know if he's eligible because he's two-way. And then the rest of the guys down here, Time for Tokes, Aztec, 16 points each. And then the rest of these guys are just kind of RAs and outcasts in trades and whatnot. And then, of course, in net, mainly been Vayu, 14, 15, and 1, 457 and a 788 save percentage there for him. Now, my prediction for this series, I think Henderson is such a strong team. I think they probably win this in 4, maybe 5. But I think they sweep Coachella Valley. I'm sorry to say to my friends down there in Coachella Valley. But I do think Henderson does take this series pretty easily. Just their offense is so good. And I'm not sure if Coachella Valley will be able to keep up defensively or even go goal for goal with Henderson. I think they'll just pull away in the third periods of these games, and overall in this series they'll just kind of coast off there. So again, Henderson in 4 is my prediction for that series. Moving on now, we'll go to the Central Series. We have Ontario and Rockford. So the Rain versus the Ice Hogs. So in the regular season, the Rain went 4-1-1 against Rockford. Rockford was 2-4. Ontario, they had a very good season, 36-15-3. Rockford 29-18-5. So a strong division in the AHL Central. The special team numbers. Ontario was 31.2% power play and a 73.5% penalty kill. That's good for 5th and 7th in the AHL. For Rockford, they had a 27.8% power play and a 66.3% penalty kill. That's 13th and 18th in the AHL. Looking at the offensive and defensive goals against totals per game, Ontario scoring 5.5 goals for per game. That's crazy. That's right up there with Henderson. If we get a Henderson-Ontario series, that'll be very high scoring, I assume. And they only give up 3.59 goals against per game, so they're at a plus 103 goal differential. Looking at Rockford, they're not too shabby themselves at a 4.46 goals for per game and a 4.24 goals against per game. They're at a plus 12 goal differential. Now, looking at the individual player numbers here, we have Conrixia, but he just changed his name to Tag. He had 54 points, 63 assists, and 117 points for Ontario. TT Minda, 19, 71.88 defensive rating. And Lmsahl, Jason, 839 save percentage and 307 goals against per game. So strong numbers up and down for Ontario. But we look over at Rockford, you got Heedless, former Seattle Kraken player. He led the team there, 21 goals, 43 assists for 64 points. Syphilis 101, he had a 69.28 defensive rating. And in the net, you have King Golden 45, 794 save percentage, and a 420 goals against. So we'll look at the full rosters here. We'll start with Ontario. So Tag, he's at 117 points. Did I say that I have that? Yeah, okay. I was making sure. 117 points for Tag. JMO, the owner over there, 108 points for him. Pre-cut club, I don't think he's in the AHL anymore because those stats are just absurd. He'll be in the NHL Kings for their playoff run. Snipes, 27, 85 points. Atlas, he might have gotten banned. Blurski, 48 points. DMAC, 37 points. Snipper Jaybird, 34 points. Leon Knights, 22 points, 22 assists. All assists there. And, of course, if fellas are Jason is in the net there, 21, 6, and 2. 2 shutouts for him. Ice King also got he got 20 games in net, 13, 6, and 1. 360 goals against, and 88.49 save percentage and a shutout. Those are really good numbers for Ontario in goal. So they'll definitely have an easier time keeping the puck out of the net with those two guys in net, as well as some of their top point producers at the top of their lineup. Looking at Rockford now, go by their points here. King Golden, so he kind of pleased a man of all trades. 54 points for him. Heedless, I believe he was traded there. He had 54 points with Rockford, but in his total season, in the AHL, he had 64 points. There you go. So that's where those numbers come from. You got Revo 5, 53 points. Tater 49 points. I'm Flips 42. Hentai 41 points. Huts 38 points. El Sriracha 37 points. Fensky 36 points. Oh, Snipper Jaybird played for both these teams. Wait, what team is he on? Did I already mention that? No, he's on Rockford. Okay, he's on Rockford. Gotcha. Okay. We got Pablo here, 29 points. And we go down here in net again. King Golden, 9, 9, and 2. No shoutouts for him. And then I'm not sure if ABCDEFU Soup is even in the league anymore. I know he left, but he went 9, 3, and 2 in net. I don't think he's in the league anymore. So I would assume King Golden gets the nod in net. So this is going to be a fun series just because these are two good teams. I know a lot of LMSHL guys, vets that have been around, are going to be a part in this series. However, I think Ontario is the better team, and I think even without Pre-Cut Club or Maggot, whatever the hell his name is, I think they'll still have a good time finding offense. The big difference for me is in net. I think Fellas Are Hot is going to be the main difference in net in this series, and I think with that, I think Ontario wins this in 6. I will say 6 games for the Reign. All right. Keep on moving. So now we move to some of the Northwest teams, starting out with Bakersfield taking on the Colorado Eagles. Again, these guys are in opposite divisions. Only 2 games played. They split those 1-1 apiece. The Condors went 31-18-5. They won the Northwest Division. The Eagles went 26-22-6. They finished 4th in the Central. They are the first wild card team, so they get the Condors in round 1. The special teams numbers for Bakersfield are quite good. 33.3% on the power play. That's 3rd in the AHL, and a 74.4% penalty kill. That's good for 6th in the AHL. Looking at Colorado, they have a 29.4% power play. It's 6th in the AHL, but a 68.2% penalty kill, which is 15th in the AHL. So not great penalty kill, but otherwise, besides that, some strong special teams in this series. Looking at the goals for and against per game, Bakersfield had an astonishing 5.22 goals for per game, giving up 4.5 goals against. They're at a plus 39 goal differential. Looking at Colorado, they score at a 4.26 goals for per game, but they give up 4.44 goals against. They sit at a minus 10 goal differential this season. Looking at some of the individual player stats, Eric E30 led the team in scoring for Bakersfield, 36 goals, 60 assists for 96 points. Brandon, he's the Condors' top defenseman with a 75.5 defensive rating, and Roy Croft, 77, in net, their main goalie, a 778 save percentage, but a large 5.45 goals against. For Colorado, I. Kucherov with 143 points, 87 goals, 56 assists. Fatso Belly, 76.88 defensive rating. And in net for the Eagles, it's 9 to 5 toes, 763 save percentage, and a 463 goals against. So that's the tail of the tape in this series. We'll take a look now at the Condors roster. Let's see what kind of points everyone else is getting. So Tavares, 91 snipes, 80 points. Solid season for him. Quandale Dingle, 67 points. Smitty, 67 points. Don Datsuk, 64 points. Charms, 57 points in only 13 games. Kyliev, 54 points. Kevin Jamel, he is a two-way. I don't think he'll be playing in this series. 91 Tavares. I wonder if these guys are the same person. If not, this guy had 34 points. Brandon, we talked about him. He's their top defenseman. Also added on 31 points for himself. Jay Bagels, 31 points. And then, of course, in the net, you have Roy Croft. Charms also had 14 games played. He might find himself a net in a game here. 8-6, 4.57 goals against, and a 789 save percentage, and a shutout as well. Now we'll go over to Colorado. The Eagles. So, again, Kucherov, 143 points, a crazy amount of points there. OG Jessomi, sorry if I mess up your name, 103 points, 45 goals, 58 assists. Fantilli, 99 points in 30 games. Deplorable SOB, he's been in here for a while, an LMSHL vet. 62 points. D-Rock, their owner, 47 points in 52 games. Holy shit. He played in every single game but one. Good God. Holy shit. 24 points for D. McGloin. The Real Bode, 21 points. Bench Boss, 18 points. Let me go down here in net. Again, mainly been 9 to 5 toes, 15, 11, and 1. 463 goals against, and a 763 save percentage. Now, I think in this series, the Condors are going to win this series. I think Bakersfield is just a little bit better. But I'm not sure. Like it's not going to be like in 4 or 5. I think this has potential to go to like 6 or maybe even 7. I'm going to say Bakersfield and 7. I'll say Bakersfield and 7. Colorado's got some interesting players in their team. I think Kucherov especially is interesting. I think that the depth of the Condors will kind of push them ahead. But especially in Game 7, watch out for Kucherov to be playing. And, of course, the rest of the guys in Colorado as well. They had, what's his name? Jessomi with 103 points and Fantilli with 99. So they have some very good top line there. But I think Bakersfield will ultimately get this done, and they will win this in 7. And last but certainly not least, the final series of the first round in the AHL, we have Abbotsford Canucks taking on the Tucson Roadrunners. Abbotsford in the head-to-head this season went 5-1. They finished 26, 24, and 4. Second in the Northwest. Tucson was 1-5 against Abbotsford this season. They finished 26, 27, and 1 this season. They finished third in the Northwest. Abbotsford had the best power play in the AHL with a 36.2% rating there, 36.2% success rate, and a 76% penalty kill, which is third. So top 3 units on both sides there. For Tucson, a 27.8% power play, which is 12th, and a 64.9% penalty kill. So this is going to be something to watch. That's 19th in the league. So you have the league's best power play going against the league's second worst penalty kill. So watch out for that. That'll be definitely a storyline to watch in this series, and it could be the difference maker. Although they have the best power play, they only score at a 4.13 goals for per game, and they give up the goals against at a 4.54 for the Canucks there. So the Abbotsford has minus 22 goal differential. For Tucson, they score just a little bit higher rate at a 4.17 goals for per game and a 4.39 goals against per game. So they are at a minus 12 goal differential. Looking at the individual player numbers here, you have Petit Autobus with 52 goals, 69 assists for 121 points. Weird 213 with a 72.86 defensive rating, and Poseidon, he's in net for them. I believe he's their owner. 774 save percentage with a 4.53 goals against. For the Roadrunners, you have Mr. Gimli leading the way for them with 84 goals, 49 assists for 133 points. You have 1-4 Rose with a 78.88 defensive rating, and Honest Abe in the net for Tucson, an 801 save percentage and a 391 goals against. So we'll take a look at the rosters here. I'll go to AHL. I meant the wrong thing, I guess. Start with the Canucks. Yeah, so Poseidon is the owner. So again, Petit Autobus, he's their GM, 121 points. DJ Crumb Daddy, 104 points. J-Bomb Gaming TTV, 82 points. Weird 213, 56 points. He's the top defenseman. Mailman Nation 90, 38 points. CJ 36 points, and then Johnny Sins I think got traded, so he is no longer there. And of course in the net, like I said earlier, Poseidon 8-1, no shutouts for him. And we go to the Roadrunners here. We'll look at their stats. Mr. Grimley, like I mentioned earlier, 133 points. Shelf 95, 87 points. Smarty, 78 points. I believe he's their owner. Game Killers 93, 66 points. Excel, he was on another team I just talked about, so I wonder who's he playing for. Who does he play for? He was on Syracuse. No, he's on Tucson. Okay, so he is on Tucson. He finished this season. His actual totals were 62 points in 28 games. Okay. Again, I mentioned 1 for Rose, 33 points for him. Wolfpack Ray, 25 points. Noble over here, 16 points. And then Honest Abe in net, 20, 13-1, 391 goals against, an 801 save percentage with 2 shutouts for him. So my final prediction for the first round, although they got dominated in the head-to-head, I think Tucson is going to win this series, and I think they win it in 6. The biggest key for them to win this series is to stay out of the box, because you see the Canucks have the best power play, and the Roadrunners have the second worst penalty kill. But if they can stay out of the box, I believe in them. I think they can get this done, and I think they can pull off the upset and move on to the second round. All right, so there you go. That is my playoff previews, all my predictions, my analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I apologize if my knowledge isn't that great, but I think you guys will enjoy. If you have any suggestions or comments or anything like that, please let me know. I'd be happy to kind of edit things for next time. I'm just doing the best I can. But yeah, if you guys have anything, feel free to DM me, ping me on Discord, whatever. Scott Jewell 11, of course. You'll see this posted in breaking news. That's probably how you're watching this. And yeah, so be on the lookout for a few days from now. I'll try to post a reaction video, just reacting to all the results and all that kind of stuff like that. All right. So good luck to all the teams. I look forward to following along. And until I talk to you again, good luck.